humility and appreciation, and with a great sense that they belong to my ancestors, especially the women in my family. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to BlackUSA.news. I tell you, we've been waiting on this night for some time. Special featured panelists tonight, including the incomparable Marcia Jews. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Estimated 4% of the.
All right. We also have Clarence Tiger Davis, former delegate, certainly a veteran with the United States military. How are you, Tiger?
I'm doing fine. I'm looking at Marcia.
Hey, Tiger. How you doing?
How you doing?
It's been way too long, brother.
Yes, it has been. But
We
look,
need to catch up.
there's no better night to come together than this night.
What? This right here.
Yes, indeed.
Why is that, Tiger?
Well, you know, if America is about what America's supposed to be about, it should have been a runaway. It shouldn't have even been a contest, okay? So what we have to do is analyze what America really is, because here you got a draft dodger who evaded the military, probably fraudulently, to avoid Vietnam. Then he turns around and calls all of us who served in the military suckers, and then label us losers. All right. Then he denigrates one of our most revered military personnel or veterans, the Honorable Senator John McCain. Then he turns around and desecrates our most hallowed ground. Arlington National Cemetery is holy ground for us. Then on top of that, he's a convicted felon and rapist who attempted to violently overthrow the government. Yeah. Now, if America was really about something, we have to examine what America really is about. He shouldn't even be in the ballgame. Look, there's no way he should have even
be at this point.
Run.
This should not even be a conversation. His butt should be at home looking at TV, for real.
He should be in jail.
No
in
question.
Prison.
Yeah.
All those people climbing up, down, and trying to take over Congress.
Yeah, you didn't mention that, Tiger. He's an insurrectionist and a traitor.
Yes.
Who tried to kill his own vice president.
Oh, absolutely. So how could he even, the fact that somebody, or the fact that he's in competition says something horrible about America, and you and I got to begin to check where we stand. Because this looks just like 1866 to 1877 to me, you know, and, you know, the Colfax massacre and all those other massacres, which occurred between the end of the Civil War up to that election of 1877, when Rutherford B. Hayes, in order to win the election, he compromised, and the compromise was to take the Union soldiers out of the South, which left the newly freed people helpless.
Right. No income, no place to live.
Right. Helpless at the hand of all these violent people who tried to stop Pap Singleton from even taking us across the Mississippi. I mean, they had paramilitary units to keep us in the South so that we could not migrate to those lands out west. But when we did get out west, what happened? We started building towns, beautiful towns, and our economies were thriving or what have you. White folks got a little bit upset, and they started burning our towns down all over. Let's say all over the area west of the Mississippi. So the thing is, it looks like we're back there once again, because how in the world could this guy even be on anybody's ticket?
Mm-hmm. And we're talking about clearly has set himself as a racist, and he's very comfortable in that position. Mm-hmm. He doesn't waver, and he's here to destroy anything with any melanin and anything that doesn't relate to him personally and his crew of people and all those little followers that are following him all over everywhere, believe in everything that he says. And what he was as president, let's talk about that presidency and what he did there, and how we're set up now to create some other madness, because this country is going to go crazy at the end of tonight at 12:01 or whatever time those polls close and are counted. We need to be ready for whatever is getting ready to go down, because Trump and his minions, you cannot trust them at all.
We have seen them before. Hey, Rock, what's happening?
Hey, Tiger Coleman, welcome to the show.
All right.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, Donnie.
Hey, see that, Rock? We got some beautiful ladies in Baltimore.
I see.
Oh, y'all too. I got to get my hip boots because it's getting deep in here. Y'all talking mess.
Hey, look, Morocco and I've traveled from coast to coast in this country fighting for veterans.
Yes,
but now, Morocco has led what we call Veterans United for Progress. And just to give you a little background on that, Veterans United for Progress came together in 2020 for the runoff campaign that Ossoff and Warnock won, right? The Black and the Jew, right? Now, here's what happened. There was 50 of us from Maryland who had Georgia roots. And so what we did, we came together and called some of our veteran colleagues down there in Georgia, Derry Brown out of Augusta, and we had Reverend Johnson out of Augusta too, and we got Morocco out of Atlanta, and then we began to work, and from that 50 of us, we put over 1,000 boots on the ground.
Wow.
Yeah, because see, for instance, I've been to Georgia 3 times in the past 2 months, twice for funerals and once for homecoming at my church, right? Because I'm still, since 1948, I've been tied to my ancestral church down there in Georgia. And so we put over 1,000 boots on the ground. That meant that was 1,000 committees of one who had the responsibility for dealing with all of their family, their community, their churches, etc. If we're talking about each one of them only recruiting 10 votes, that's 10,000 votes right there. That's how easy it was for us to impact that runoff election in Georgia. And we may have been the difference between winning and losing, because those races in Georgia have always been pretty close. But with the encouragement of Stacey Abrams, who told us, hey, look, y'all got the plan, go on and do it.
Right. Because she's action. She's action woman. She don't be playing with nobody.
Yeah.
That's right. Because look, with all this new technology, we had a couple of them little young brothers who know how to do the Zoom and all this other stuff.
Right.
Hey, so we started work. Hey, look, and the young fellow Parker, what's Parker? I can't think of his first name, but Parker, this was during COVID now, Parker took a van load of brothers down there in Georgia to campaign and knock on doors during COVID. Hey, I couldn't go that far. I'm too old.
Right, that's a little bit much. That's a little bit much.
I'm 82 and trying to get to 90, right?
Yeah, I understand. You on a mission, right? That's for real. That's for real. But
anyway, hey,
it's critical for us to be able to bring our young
Employ
people
the same.
into this. It's huge, and getting them involved.
Tiger used the same concept of what we did in Georgia. He's done the same thing for Kamala Harris, as he put together a cadre of veterans all across the country.
From
And,
Hawaii to Puerto Rico.
Yeah, and it's Black veterans for Kamala Harris, Kamala and Waltz.
I love
And
it.
so, nationwide, we applied the same principle that Tiger had with the one for Ossoff and for Warnock. And hopefully tonight we'll see the fruition of our efforts.
See, we look at things as veterans, we're patriots. We believe we didn't earn our piece of this rock. But we look at places like Mississippi, where 41.6% of the population is Black. Well, it would appear to me that if the Black and the Democratic Party was together, they'd find a white boy that could get some white votes. And with that 41% of the Blacks, look, they should be able to take any statewide election in Mississippi. But see, what has happened is our folks have come to believe that Black power means you have to elect Blacks. No, it's the same as in physics, the ability to influence matter, except when you're talking about politics, it's the ability to influence public policy. Yeah. And so that's what we have to begin to think about, because to win the state of Mississippi, whether we talk about the Senate seat or the governorship, and we have to work on that. And that's one of the projects a few of us, brother, because Rock, Tom Harris is really from Mississippi.
Yeah.
And a whole lot of them brothers up in Chicago
down
from
home.
Mississippi.
That's exactly right. We all from down there.
Yeah. So what we try to do is to get them brothers, because they still go back home for homecoming at their churches and funerals and things. Well, look, hey, come on, can't we take this and do what we did in Georgia?
Yeah.
So look at folks. I want to let you know that we've been joined by 60 Minutes in Black America's Mike Haney. Mike, how are you?
Hey, I'm great. Good to see you, Miss Jews and
hello.
Tiger Davis. Good to see you again so soon, my brother. Good to see you.
It seemed like this yesterday.
So, Mike, I was wondering, could you play that clip for us? Might as well get the people riled up.
Oh, good. Stirring the pot, huh?
John
Well, I think if nothing else, it lets people see a reality of what we be dealing with if we haven't accomplished the mission of keeping a racist out of us. So just bear with me, Donnie, as you all talk, and we'll have this up here in a second.
Morocco, down in Georgia, I got a report that there were threats in Gwinnett County.
I haven't gotten the location yet, but in the Atlanta area, supposedly there were 2 bomb threats, but they found that they were false alarms. And undoubtedly it was to try to affect people going out to vote or being afraid to vote. And talking about being afraid, as Tiger was talking about Mississippi, Alabama, and some parts of Georgia. When Tiger was doing his research, he found a number of those folk down there were afraid to vote for Kamala or let it be known that they were supporting Kamala Harris. It's almost like back in the 60s when we had to go into those areas to get out the vote and to try to overcome the fear of the people for voting.
Rock, I went home, first Sunday in August is always homecoming at my church, right?
Big meeting.
So every first Sunday in August, I and my entire crew from Baltimore and wherever, everybody comes back home, whether they're in Detroit, LA, or wherever. And so I'm sitting there in this little joint and people started cracking jokes about Trump. And man, my family members say, "No, man, don't do that. Don't do that."
Yeah.
You know, these people get upset about what? I don't give a damn what they do, get upset. But it goes to show you that there's something in the air
That's right.
down there in
It's stirring
Georgia
the pot.
that makes our people in the rural areas afraid. Now,
It's stirring the pot.
here's why we were so successful in Georgia and why we have to protect those people. Georgia has small counties. They have 159 counties. The counties that all of us migrated from, if you look at my county, Wilkes County, we're like 40-something% black, right? If you look
Somebody's
at
got to turn the
the
TV
other
off.
county right next to me, it's like about 38% black. So Husher Harris, who grew up in Tampa, but he was really born in Douglas, Georgia. Well, down in Douglas, Georgia, in Brooke County, man, the blacks constitute 73% of the population. See, we all came north to escape Mr. John's mule in them cotton fields, right? And so this is the one area that the major political parties like the Democrats do not engage. And so by us working those areas, we were working areas that was left unattended because the Democratic Party did not see those little rural areas as being important. You take like Ralph Cooper. Now, I never even heard of Jacksonville, Georgia, right? But when he told me he was from Jacksonville, Georgia, I said, man, there ain't no such place as Jacksonville, Georgia. I looked it up. It was 111 people in the town, and 80 of them was black, right? But in the county was overwhelmingly black because these were the cotton producing areas, and the populations were heavily black. And especially when blacks remained there, but most of us tried to get out of Georgia, right? But the bottom line is our organizing and engaging those particular areas impacted favorably the Democratic Party because
Okay, look here, Tiger. Let me jump in for a second. I want to play a clip for you. And we've been joined by Doug Blasher.
And
oh, my man.
You know, there's a lot going on. Like, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah. I think it's called Puerto Rico. Okay. All right. Okay. We're getting there. Again, normally I don't follow the national anthem, everybody. This isn't exactly a perfect comedy setup. There's some people here. All right. Very good. I like it. I have other policies that I think it should be implemented as well. Like me personally, I think football should be all year round. Yeah. So many great athletes. I don't know about you guys, but I think that Travis Kelce might be the next O.J. Simpson. Feels good in here. The other side's got a lot of crazy endorsements. Swift, Eminem, Leo DiCaprio, Beyonce. Every day the Democratic Party looks more and more like a P. Diddy party. Oh, okay. Okay, that's what you guys want. All right, heck yeah. It's a cool black guy with a thing on his head. What the hell is that, a lampshade? Look at this guy. Oh my goodness. Wow. I'm just kidding. That's one of my buddies. He had a Halloween party last night. We had fun. We carved watermelons together. It was awesome. You guys are, this is a groany little morning crowd, huh?
I think
These are
that's
some
enough.
racist people. This is horrific. And it's so indicative of Donald Trump and his minions. I'm so sick and tired of that BS.
Yep.
Okay, so we got Georgia on the line. We got Maryland. Let's go out to Oakland, California. Doug, unmute yourself.
Hello, everyone. How are you today?
Hey, Doug.
Hey, Doug.
So, ladies and gentlemen, let me just tell you, Doug does a show on this network, and he is our Grand Slam winner in terms of hits. His show is probably the most popular. He gets hits from all over the country. Tell them about your show, Doug.
Well, Donnie, my hat's off to you for allowing me to participate on your network. let me just let the audience know that, Donnie, you are progressive, you are a visionary, and thank you for allowing me an opportunity to talk today. The biggest issue that's going on here in Oakland, California, is the recall for the mayor of Oakland and also the district attorney, first African-American woman elected as DA. The mayor and I'm a California delegate, so I hear a lot of inside information. She's pretty much out of here. But the DA, I really think that we should address the issue of, and I did a press conference last year regarding the NAACP. We need to allow her the opportunity to continue to move the judicial system. And as we all know here, that the district attorney determines the lives of many African-American men and women, specifically people of color, but African-American men and women. So we're very positive that what's going on here in Oakland is going, and Alameda County in the state of California is going to be a Democratic landslide, specifically with Adam Schiff running for the Senate seat. But we're very excited here in Oakland. We're very excited because Kamala Harris started here in Oakland. She was born here in Oakland. And because of an injury, I wasn't able to attend the Democratic convention in Chicago. But we have very powerful feelings that this woman is going to make history, and we are excited to be a part of that.
Okay, let me
I
shift
apologize.
that.
I apologize for being late because I'm gonna have to leave early, Donnie, because I'm going to Brooke Jenkins. She's a San Francisco DA, a black woman. She assuming the position of Kamala Harris. She was the San Francisco DA. We're going to a party for her tonight. So thank you all, and it's good to see all you, Marcia, Clarence, Mr. Coleman, and Mike Haney, my man.
Well, I want to make sure that we thank Mr. Haney for being our corporate sponsor and keeping this network alive and kicking. Come on in, Mr. Haney.
Hey, Donnie, it's always a pleasure, particularly with Miss Jews and Tiger Davis. He's an icon. And then we've got Doug out there on the West Coast, Mr. Coleman. I have seen him on your show. It's very nice meeting you. And what a night. What a night. What does Wednesday morning look like? When do we begin to understand the dynamics of Congress and the U.S. Senate as well, knowing that we have to have an interest in those races as well as a mid-year elections also. So how do we educate our voters? What do we look at as a strategy on Wednesdays if things don't turn out our way? What do we do? And see, these are the questions from a strategic standpoint. We have to continue to discern in our communities, man. We have to be prepared regardless. All our eggs cannot be in one basket anymore. And I think that's one thing that you've seen in this election. It's unfortunate some of the people that put their eggs in I statement, the wrong basket of Donald Trump for the wrong reasons, because they feel as though the price of bacon is going to go down, the gas price is going to go down, but they haven't realized the cost of war. And by the way, North Korea just went and aligned itself with Russia. And will our young black men and women be over there fighting? We already realized in Gaza or in the Middle East, we could be over there as well. So what are the real issues? Because I'll gladly pay more for bacon and eggs and gas as long as I have the ability to be a true, real free man in this country. And if not, then we got to force the issue, man. What does it look like in 2024 as it did in 1962 and 63 when we had to fight? We just may have to do it again.
We've been joined by our very dear godfather in New York City, the one, the only, Mr. Walter Edwards. If you've ever walked down 125th Street with Mr. Edwards, you would think you were walking beside the president. Mr. Edwards, welcome to the show.
Hey, Mr. Edwards.
Oh, your volume.
I'm mute. Yeah, or volume.
Hey, Mr. Edwards.
We'll give him a second, but he started this idea of this show back in the middle of COVID. We would have a weekly conference call. Are you there yet? We don't hear you just yet. You can always use your cell phone, by the way. But Mr. Edwards started this entity called the Black Business Empowerment Commission. I was afforded an opportunity to join that organization, and we were able to touch base, Mike, with people around the country in various cities and states, Black people. And it was all about promoting our businesses. So we're truly blessed to have him. We're looking to get a New York perspective. So, Marsha, what do you think thus far?
I think that we have a long way to go, and it's going to be a long night. We've got a lot of issues. Trump is up by 11 points with independents in Georgia, and according to the initial exits, they see nothing in Florida returns to suggest it's coming back to being a swing state. So we need to see what's consistent with Trump and his group of people within the state.
Morocco, what's it like in Georgia in terms of where's the Black church there?
The Black church is and was bringing out voters en masse. I voted on the second day, and the voting place where I went was at a center, a community center for the community, and it was packed. And the churches have been doing an outstanding job of being nonpartisan, but making sure that big emphasis is on getting out the vote.
Mm-hmm. We had quite a few people in my location here in East Baltimore. I went early, and they had a good line going on over there at the school. So, hopefully it ended with a bang. But they were coming in.
Tiger, we had lines.
85.
I'm sorry.
Was it 85?
It's on. So I don't know the number of it. It's right on Caroline Street.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
We had lines out the door at midday here in Sandtown. Welcome to the show, DMV radio host extraordinaire, television star, soon to be launching his own TV show, husband to Allison, Mr. Mark Clark.
Thank you for that amazing introduction, Donnie. Welcome. What's up, y'all?
Greetings.
Greetings.
The voice. What's it like in your neck of the woods, Mark Clark?
I was reflecting on how unproblemic it was, if that's a word. I voted early, and out in Montgomery County, and it's just interesting. I think Maryland in general, especially, well, I guess I can't say everywhere. I'm sure in some areas out in the county it might be crazy, but yeah, it was very peaceful. Very like you said, very steady, and that was early voting, and so it's interesting. I think in some states, I'm sure it's crazy, but yeah, here it looks like things are pretty pretty steady, pretty safe.
Walter Edwards, how's your sound? Yeah, we still don't hear you. So Mr. Edwards, you may want to try the link on your cell phone. I can send you the link that way if you like. Mike Haney, pick us up.
Hey, well, so I'm listening to Mark. I'm down in Florida. We came down yesterday to cover a couple of things, and Maryland is not an issue if we're looking at it from a context of what I feel. Let me speak for me, because I don't know what anybody's thoughts or opinion on this election and who you support. But for me, Maryland is inconsequential. right? Just like the popular vote is inconsequential. We talked about earlier. So what does it take to win an election? They keep talking about North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan as background states. And you have to take a look at the demographics there in the population so that we understand the context of the strategy necessary to win. We've seen cases, I believe, in the past couple of decades where the popular vote did not necessarily go to the eventual winner, right?
Yep.
And so we can vote. We tell people for people to vote, 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 vote. But did we send enough resources into Wisconsin? Did we send enough resources into Michigan, understanding that we may have a more populous situation elsewhere, but that electoral has a huge consequence on a multitude of factors, just like the U.S. Congress race, the Senate races. We just have to be sensitive and educated to all of it. Florida's gone. Florida is no longer a swing state because Florida is, as much as it has transients coming from all over, for some reason, it's absolutely ultra red, right? And it looks like Georgia. Georgia looks funny right now. Looks real funny. With a high population of Black people, it looks real funny. And if Harris can't pull out Georgia and North Carolina, then she has to win Pennsylvania, or we're going to be looking at a strategy of how we move forward for the next 4 years or beyond 4 years. Because I believe once this man gets in office, democracy as we've known it in our lifetime may not look the same.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think something's interesting also in Georgia and North Carolina. They have been dealing with hurricanes this fall. So there are a lot of problems going on with people where they would normally vote, having to shift, people being able to have transportation to get to the polls. I'm just really concerned about that and how that's going to impact people doing what they need to do to handle their business.
One thing that hurt us, Marsha, in Florida, the Black governor a few years ago that barely lost, remember, and he went crazy and got on drugs, et cetera, et cetera. So the perception of us, that's what happens, right? So all of a sudden, I ain't voting for no Black person because he was the image that they saw of Black people. I mean, he lost by just like, let's call it 2 or 3 votes as an equivalence, right? And ever since then, people, including the young lady that ran against Marco Rubio, have had difficulty winning elections down here.
Okay, let's bring in Mr. Walter.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Mr. Walter, you there?
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
You still can't hear me?
Yes,
we can hear you, sir.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Sorry about this.
Hey.
Tell us your thoughts, Mr. Edwards.
Say that again, please, Donnie.
Tell us your thoughts. What do you think?
I am worried when I see the media caving into one candidate the way that I've seen this one. It really worries me. What do he have on the media? And the media have been going wrong since the Gulf War. They went in there like they was making a movie or something, and they haven't been the same since. So when you see the millionaires all together and they're controlling the media, it worries me.
How has the turnout been in the New York, New Jersey area from your observations?
From early voting to this evening, it's been extremely busy. Extremely.
But I want to get back to what Brother Edward said, about the media, because the media, which Trump calls the fake media, has given Trump a free ride on everything, man.
Yep.
This is a convicted criminal, man, rapist, who dodged the draft. One of the most unpatriotic. I call him in the veterans movement. We call him the traitor.
Yeah.
But he got a free ride with CNN, MSNBC, NBC, all of the national networks. He got a free ride, man. They should have turned him inside out, and they did not. It was almost as if they were afraid of him, man.
Mm-hmm.
Also, what was going on? I was trying to figure out what was going on with the so-called woke black male media influencers like Tariq Nasheed. Let's keep it real, what was Cornel West doing? What was that about? Tavis, Boyce Watkins. What game were they playing? Because they were very one-sided. I'm like, these cats, Lord Jamal, did they get paid off? I don't understand what the play was. They were dogging the Democratic Party, of course, called plantation. They're doing the whole female thing, but I couldn't understand what was the motivation. Were they getting checks? I don't understand. What do y'all think? And what was Cornel West doing?
I think they got paid. They got paid. Cash rules.
Okay.
Okay, listen, folks. I have on the line with us Miss Alice Torriente. She is the daughter of the late Senator Troy Braley. Good evening, Auntie Alice. How are you?
Good evening. How are you?
Good. What's been your analysis thus far? You got to cut that TV off.
I am scared to death. I'm looking at all of the states that Trump has won so far. They're not ones that really have a lot of electoral college votes, but I'm really concerned. Thus far, Trump has won Kentucky, Indiana, West Virginia, Florida, Tennessee, Missouri, Alabama, and Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. So far, Camilla has won Vermont, Massachusetts, Maryland, and D.C. But of course, the night is not over, and a lot of the places are too early to call. So I'm looking at Georgia, and I'm looking at some of those other battleground states. There's still people in line because the polls are closing at 7, 8, 9, and 10 o'clock. So we won't have a complete picture of what is going on until much later in the evening. But I have had a big problem regarding the electoral college versus the popular vote. Mm-hmm. And I'm just really upset about that because when you win the popular vote, you should certainly be able to win the election. Now, we here in Maryland have 10 electoral votes. But of course, other states have more, some have less. So that is one of my concerns. But I do believe that Kamala Harris ran an outstanding 90-day campaign. And up to this afternoon, she was making calls to the voters at Howard University. And of course, tonight, that is where they will be holding her event. Mm-hmm. Maryland, as far as early voters were concerned, had 1.5 million early voters. Queen Anne, Talbot, Calvert were the highest with the early voting. In Baltimore, unfortunately, was the lowest. Mm-hmm. So, we just have to we have to pray, and we have to hold our hearts and just hope that she'll pull through, because there are some battleground states that have not even finished the, election, haven't finished the voting as yet. So we shall see what the story is. But I've been talking to friends in South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia, New York, Baltimore, all over the place, because everybody is concerned. So we have a bunch of prayer warriors that have been on it, hoping that girlfriend will pull it through.
Mm-hmm. So looking on CNN, they've got 9 million votes for Harris and 10 million for Trump. That's what's going on CNN right now.
Okay, I have not seen that as yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I have MSNBC on, but he's won a bunch of states. He's only won 1, 2, 3, 4. He's won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Mm-hmm. But it's still quite early.
Well, Aunt Alice, Tiger Davis has suggested that, and also Mr. Edwards, that the media has been leaning towards Trump. Do you get that impression?
depends on what station you're looking at.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it really, now, you know that Fox has been, and you know that some of those others have been. But when you look at MSNBC, when you look at CNN, you don't. And C-SPAN really just
Not
carries it
true.
like whatever's going on with C-SPAN, you just see what it is, and that's the way it goes.
Yeah.
All right, look. MSNBC and CNN gave Trump a free ride. Now,
Yeah.
I did not say they was leaning toward Trump. What I said is they gave him a free ride and did not tell the whole story, because they were afraid to put the truth out there on Trump, man. I'm telling you.
Well, what is
Well,
the truth?
may I say that they would have him on and call themselves speaking against him, but they'd have him on all day,
Yes,
all
they did.
day. And as I learned years ago, any promotion is better than no promotion. And so he was
MSNBC.
being seen all the time,
Mhm.
and that stays in people's mind.
Right.
Now, another problem that we have is this: the Democratic Party rely on bureaucratic statisticians to plan and develop their campaign, when in reality, to win, it's about personal relationships, and that somehow these bureaucratic statisticians come in. They have a like with Westmore, they had a 3-pronged strategy. Prince George's County, Montgomery County, and Baltimore City. That is hogwash. You forgot about the Eastern Shore. You forgot about Western Maryland. And the thing that in the Southern Maryland, the thing that brought them home was when the veterans came together and dealt with all of those areas that those bureaucratic statisticians did not even recognize. It's the same thing as I mentioned earlier in Georgia. No one ever campaigns in my hometown in Georgia, or Husher Harris' hometown, or Jakey's hometown, or any of the other hometowns in the rural areas. We all came north to escape Mr. John's mule and them cotton fields in the late 40s and the early 50s, but we always go home. Now, here's what happens in those areas. At my church on homecoming, all the folks from Philadelphia, New York, Cleveland, Detroit, they're going to come home. So what we decided, we developed what we call Operation Roots, whereby when folks came home, we began to engage them politically as well. And a whole lot of our folks who left Georgia ended up in the military and did 20 years, and they're doing real good right now. Okay, so the thing is that somehow they got to get away from those bureaucratic statisticians and understand it's about personal relationship, because the Democratic Party, we take them to the dance, and I sent you this piece, Donnie, and the title of it is Response to Black Veteran Critics of the Democratic Party. I sent you that. Now, and the reason now this was about the election in 2004 when John Kerry and Edwards were running. Now, what happened is black folks say, no, man, look, I'm through with them. I'm through with them. We take them to the dance and they dance with everybody but us. So what we did, we had to respond to that. And this was our response to that. That really what we had to do is to look at the other side, the alternative, that if the fascists win, we lose. And so,
okay, Tiger, let Arnie Alice respond. And Mike, check the private chat for me.
Let me just say that we got to see what's the suburban women versus the urban women. So it's not over yet. So we got to see what it is. I know that the Democratic Party sent a bunch of folks down to North Carolina, because some of the folks out in my neighborhood went. They sent them down on the bus. They put them up in the hotel, and they gave them breakfast. So they went down and worked in North Carolina. So it's not over yet. We're going to have to keep praying and hold on. And just hope, the Democratic governor of North Carolina, Democratic candidate of North Carolina beat out the black guy that was talking all that crazy stuff. So anyway,
well, I believe that black veterans for Harris, I believe that
Yes, ma'am.
okay, I believe that Black Veterans for Harris, which organized from Hawaii to Puerto Rico, got the answer. I believe all of them went out there into the grassroots, utilizing personal contacts to include their social organization. For instance, no one ever respect the Elks or the Odd Fellows. I mean, they forgot these groups exist. Well, if you got 1,500 Elks lodges throughout the country, these people are at the true grassroots. If you engage them, then you have what? 1,500 headquarters, campaign headquarters for your candidate throughout this country. But somehow they don't even respect the Elks because these are the basic brothers at the grassroots level. And it's all about personal contact. Okay, they talk about the Divine Nine, but there are as many Elks in this country and Masons and Odd Fellows as there are the Divine Nine. You know, they get into that elitist thing and forget about the masses of people. And we cannot move forward unless we take the masses with us.
Well, Tiger, I think you make a excellent point, man. And here we are, a couple removed from slavery, and still having conversations about how we move forward and what our strategy looks like as 13% of the people. So I got a question for Doug, which I'd love all of you to weigh in. In the event of a Trump victory, how do we move forward as a people in this country based on what we believe the victory of Trump will be detrimental to us? Doug, how do we move forward, man? What does move forward look like? Do we work with them and hope to get some of the department positions or secretarial positions, or do we just stand down, refuse to volunteer for the draft, and not fight? What do we do, Doug, on Wednesday if it looks like Trump takes over the country again?
I need to move out of the country. I need to move. I need to go to Vieques, Puerto Rico, or somewhere. I don't want to be here with that insane man. I don't want. I'm so sick of him and his foolishness and all of that crap that he does, and all of the people that are there, his little minions running around this country doing his bidding everywhere. I'm ready to move. I'm a pack up.
So Miss Jews, are you saying, an option is to ask the continent of Africa for some land for Black people to move back? Ghana has already agreed to give us dual citizenships, right? Is that become optional? Because I like the fact that you came up with an option. I don't know if you were being facetious or you were serious about it.
I'm not kidding. I like Vieques, Puerto Rico. So really, all serious, all jokes aside, I mean, we were talking, I'm on a board of World Ebony Network, and all the board is all, and most of the members are all from Nigeria. And so we had a conversation. I've been a board member for a long time. We were talking about this the other day. We need to be thinking about what we're going to do. So I said, well, y'all better go on and start talking to them folks over there in Nigeria and find us a little corner where we can create our own town. Because this right here, this man is certifiable. Donald Trump needs some psychiatric assistance and should be in one of those facilities somewhere.
No doubt about it. Mark, what do you think, Mark? What does it look like for you and Allison in terms of, professional careers, etc.? You in that DC, or you were in that, I know that she's in that DC market, right? Media. Yeah. We're not even going to talk about the Washington Post, to what Mr. Edwards said that you responded, because there's all sorts of media control that we don't have volume to extol our strategy, right? But what do you think it looks like, or what kind of strategies do we to survive, if that's what we need to do, the future? Because I'm not going to just say 4 years, because it could be that.
No, I think, Mike, I'm really concerned, and that's why I was just so baffled by a lot of these thought leaders or influencers who were down with this whole anti-Democrat in support of Trump. And Trump really wasn't offering anything but his his association with the white supremacist organizations, and as we know, there's plans for major companies. Most of the things he espoused from the tariffs and all that kind of stuff didn't even make sense. So, like you say, the question, I think the challenge for us as Black people, like people always say, always lean on we're not a monolith. I think economically, sadly, when you're upper middle class and you're comfortable, quote unquote, until you lose it in your job or in your whatever you're doing, you don't get the wake up call until you lose that job. And I've lost those jobs many times before, but I've been blessed to have my wife who has been steady. But you're right, a world with Trump in the leadership this time, especially, man, it's very frightening. And I think we've already seen, what happened with affirmative action. I think young people, because they haven't been through anything and they didn't even, all the things that are the shoulders we stand on fought for, they took for granted. They really don't understand what's really happening as far as this white supremacy piece and the rules and what they're trying to do and the Supreme Court justices. It's a very bleak picture with Trump and leadership. So I don't know. I think the part that I think as a community, as Tiger mentioned, is, the reality is we're not ready. We're not unified enough to be ready, even though we do have organizations from the Greeks to Tiger mentioned, from the Masons to all these organizations that we really don't really work together. So maybe in a worst case scenario, does it drive us together? Does it make us have to, like when segregation was, we had to work together? Maybe that's what the big lesson will be if that happens, if Trump is, because I think as it is now, man, it's very bleak to think about that, because again, look at the Supreme Court. He's going to get 2 or 3 more in there if he's president, and that ain't no coming back from that. So then,
hey, there's no doubt, man. You just painted a picture for all of us, and someone's throwing up stats, right? Because what we need to be concerned with is not the popular vote, because Donald Trump won and lost the popular vote before. So did George Bush to Al Gore. There's been 3 other instances where that happened. But Mr. Coleman and Doug, I want you to weigh in on the point too. I got a question of complexity. So separate but equal as a doctrine prior to Board versus Brown was one that allowed our Black Wall Streets to thrive, our HBCUs to thrive. We realize HBCUs are huge now, but they were very big back in the 40s and 50s prior to Brown versus Board, when we asked for desegregation, right? Was there mitigating factors, Mr. Coleman, that had we been in a era where we were separate but equal, that we wouldn't have as much on the situation that we're in now? Maybe we get 3 or 4 states. Maybe we have our own economy. Do you think that we'd be better off in a separate but equal environment and feel more comfortable in the 21st century, Mr. Coleman?
Well, I think that that we would definitely benefit and feel comfortable from a collegial standpoint. And it is very sobering what we're facing, and like the way Mark broke it down. Now, being like Tiger, military, I'm a combat Vietnam veteran. So my thing is about, I would have to look at this thing and see which way the wind is blowing on it, and then to strategize, because I actually believe that if Trump were to be successful, it's going to be a lot worse than we're kind of tossing around. I mean, I'm looking at it from a standpoint that this man is facing true jail time. So he's going to utilize everything available to him to get back in office to save his behind. And so minorities are going to be in the line of fire. And so, like I said, at this point, I would be strategizing from a standpoint of, I had to sit back, look at what's transpiring here in the next 48 hours after, supposedly, if he were to win, and then look at strategies from really a military standpoint.
I hear you. Absolutely. Absolutely. Maybe we need our own. And Doug, you out there in Oakland where the Black Panthers in the 60s, right? Doug, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, no, I'm on my way out to a campaign.
Yeah,
watch.
I know you said you had to leave. You had to
But
leave.
let me just say this before I check out. Marsha Jews, a Black woman. America is afraid of Black women. Period. That is the number one cause of Trump getting the nickel and dime votes he's getting. Trump has concluded that if he can get the visual that Black women are going to run this country, are going to be in charge, we have to stomp that. And our Black men who concur with him, they need to be ashamed of themselves. They need to throw themselves in jail. Marsha Jews, I compliment you and all the Black women who have stood out there on the front line trying to make this country great again. And at the end of the day, Trump has garnered enough support with most white people and a few knucklehead Black people to say that we cannot let Black women run. Black women has been on the bottom of everything.
Yeah.
From the start of this country. And now that we got a Black sister running for president, Trump has conspired to with the white base.
Yes, with the white racist base.
Okay, with the white racist
So Doug,
base.
it sounds like you calling this race. Are you calling this race?
I think Kamala Harris is gonna squeak by, but it's gonna be, I'm talking about, it's gonna be a hairline finish.
I believe that
so
Black
it's all
women,
based on electoral.
I believe black and brown women are going to be en masse. Where I voted today, all I could see were Black women coming into that building. And I believe with Kamala, folks are behind her. They are behind her. I just see it happening. There's going to be those who have their own vision of what needs to occur, but I think the masses of women of color are going to support Kamala.
Do you believe the white women in the suburbs of Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, North Carolina, and the battleground states? Because
I think
it's all about the
difficult.
electoral. It's all about the electoral votes.
It's going to be difficult. I grew up in South Bend, Indiana. I went to school in New Orleans. I understand what we've got to deal with when we're up against white people who don't want to deal with people who look like us. My first day in junior high school in 1966, this girl walked up to me and said to me, "What are you doing here, you Black nigger?" Now, that was 1966. And I'm saying that to say that they are being trained in their households. Those racists are in their household. They are being groomed. Susan Grow is her name. They're being groomed to be who they are. And so we have to be realistic. Today, all of our efforts should have been in how we're going to get as many folks to get out and hit that vote.
Marsha, you are 100% correct. White America is afraid of the Black woman. Period.
No question.
And to see a Black woman on the top of the Democratic ticket is
a brilliant Black woman. A brilliant Black woman. She can stand on her own.
Tiger, Mr. Walter Edwards, you've been quiet over there. What are you thinking? Mr. Edwards?
Oh, well, listen, I'm listening. And Marsha,
yeah,
you are 100% on top of it. We and the Native Americans are the only one that doesn't have dual passports. They can take our passports from us anytime they want to, and we can't leave this country. We are locked in. So I've been working on this for some time, getting us dual citizenship in African countries and building communities there for us. But we have to look at the economy and everything that we build as an economy for us, they destroy. Okay, you take the greatest thing we had really was the numbers game. That was our bank, and they came and knocked that out, took it over, and destroyed it, and we don't have that bank any longer. So anything that we have that's supported of us financially, educational, they are destroying. And I don't care who's in office here. Black can be black, the whole government can be black. But the millionaires, the billionaires are still controlling because, you know, if you dance to the music, you have to pay the piper.
No question.
Okay? So they are a controlling thing. We think that we have leaders, but since civil rights, I don't know of us choosing any leader. All I know is somebody showed up one day and started talking, and they was appointed as leaders. And I don't care who it is. I say this to them all the time. I didn't choose you as my leader. Okay? So we're dealing with something that's much deeper than sometimes I think we want to face. And we put the burden on the black woman, which they have been my backbone all my life. I haven't gotten anywhere that a woman didn't get me through the door because, brothers, we will not bust a grape to help one another. Okay? We are too afraid that we're going to lose our job or lose our position or something. So we back up from one another. I mean, this thing with the abortion, I'm against abortion, but how can you put the weight all on the female and not include the man in it? You know, it doesn't make sense what we go for. And these so-called leaders show up and tell us where we have to go, how to get there and everything. And they're living good. And we have never seen them do anything to live so good. Okay. So, you know, I think that we need to get together and start strategizing and come up with a plan for our children, you know. I do not accept awards unless I accept them in the name of my great grandsons. Okay? Because I want the people to know them. If we have Generation Wealth Organization, then they need to know my great grandsons. My great grandsons need to know them. They need to be protected. And we don't have any protection at all. We just left open. Anything they want to do. The greatest thing I've seen in the last 20 years was when those kids showed up on motorcycles down in Georgia and with guns and everything and backed them crackers up off everybody down there. And nobody talk about that, but they came down there on motorcycles and everything and showed them that they wasn't afraid. And they had the guns that the white folks had, and they backed totally up because they are afraid. So it's something that we have just got to come together on.
All right, we see Tiger up there brandishing a gun. Morocco, you better get him, Morocco. Okay,
I practice every summer. Okay.
Okay, Mike Haney, I know you got.
One of the things we have to do is to begin to analyze things from a realistic perspective. We're always looking at him as opposed to introspective analysis and looking at us. If Kamala Harris loses this election, it's because we failed.
Yeah,
no, we didn't fail. We had lines out.
Trump did not get one black vote. We failed in our community. And the reason we fail is because we do not analyze history properly. First of all, we built America, okay? And I ain't talking about no slavery. I'm saying that from day one, militarily, we defended this country. More than 9,000 blacks fought in the Revolutionary War, etc. okay, to bring about this democracy. Then we fought in all the wars since then. So there's no, and we fought when they tried to keep us from participating. We defended this country, and yet people come into this country and enjoy the benefits of the democracy we defended, okay? Now, if we look at the country from a STEM perspective, I'm sorry, from a STEM perspective, right? Let's look at it. From Benjamin Banneker to George Washington Carver and all in between, all the great inventions in this country came from us. Our folks told us that black man invented the cotton gin, but we didn't want to believe that. So STEM, we brought science and technology to this country. If we're talking about culture, all of the culture, even country and Western music, evolved from us, okay? If we're then talking about what makes us a democracy, it would not be a democracy if we weren't the ones fighting to make it one. We built America, and until we understand that fact, we're going to be dealing from a position of weakness, because we're going to always be focusing on that cracker. Oh man, he's so racist, this and that. Yeah, he is. That's who he is. He's the devil. You know, but we built this democracy now, and we've defended it. And now we need to take advantage of it, and we need to let our children know that they're supposed to have a piece of this rock, but they got to go out and get it. Just
Michael Haney, I know you got to go. Michael Haney, thank you for joining us. Thank you for your support of this network. One of our viewers said that you look very American.
Wow, I don't know what that means, but I'll take it as a compliment. And you know, I tell you, Donnie, I'm just amazed at Mr. Edwards, Mark, Mr. Morocco, Clarence, Doug, Marsha, you. I am in awe, and I'm honored to be here. We've got a show starting at 9:30 to 1:30 this morning on 60 Minutes of Black America, where hopefully we'll be able to, you know, push some results forward, including key Senate races around the country. Lisa Blunt, Rochester, and Delaware. So there's some things we need to do, to Tiger's point, right? And maybe but separate but equal. And I'll leave you with this. Maybe separate but equal needs to be more in the doctrine. And what does it look like? When our dollar only lasts 6 hours in our economy versus the days and days and days it lasts in other demographics of economies, we know that we got to look inward and not always outward. So you all have a great evening, man. God bless America, right? Is that what I'm supposed to say?
God
That's
bless
right.
America.
Mike,
America, we built.
yeah.
God bless Black America.
Yeah, all right.
That's real.
You know, like Donnie, like Tiger was saying, I'm a firm believer in tonight from this standpoint. I'm now understanding what the old folk meant back in the day when they would say, baby, we the true Jews, and we the ones that the promise was made to. We just didn't understand it because they used sleight of hand and trickery. And again, in some situations, we don't know who we are and understand some things. I truly believe that Kamala Harris has been placed to do exactly what we're watching this evening. She has been placed there, and you look back on it, we were the first people. We were the first ones here. We built America. We built the world. And so now we are being led by that black woman, that same black woman that took Trump to court. People have been trying to get him in a courtroom forever and a day. Nobody could do it. You got to think, what, two or at least three black women that have gotten him in a courtroom and have brought thunder and lightning upon him. And so now this is the next phase of where we go from here. Kamala Harris has been placed at this time, at this location, at a time such as these. And I'm thinking positively, and now we're going to watch successfully the rest of this evening and tomorrow as she steps into her rightful place here in the world.
All right.
Amen. Amen.
All
I
right.
agree on that.
Amen.
Mark Clark, come on, chime in, Mark Clark.
I wanted to chime in on that, something I just wanted to say about, I think, the separate but equal piece that I think is so real, like Mike was saying. But I think sometimes, you know how we always say, when we kind of describe, we always say, well, because we felt like the white man's ice was colder, right? We blamed ourselves. We blame ourselves. But the part that we take out of it is that the reality is, because we are the ultimate consumer, they needed us. They needed us. So the reality was, just like in Black Wall Street and all those other Black Wall Streets across the country, they were thriving because we're ultimate consumers, and wherever we are, we're gonna, have all this wealth and spend this money. And so that's something that I think never really gets talked about. Oh, they shut this stuff down because they need us as consumers. And I think, like you say, back to the black man, what I realize is that at 58 is, when you really look at black men, if you are a quote unquote successful black man working in corporate America, or working anywhere, as older you get, the more hell gets dropped on your head, because they're trying to get your ass out of there.
No
because,
question.
So it's not because we it's not really our fault. It's that same thing with that black business. They're going to shut it down when you have a certain degree of success. Especially look at the entertainers. All of them who have massive success are partnerships with white folks. And if you don't have that partnership, you're going to get shut down. You're going to get kicked out the country, whatever. And then after you get long in the tooth, they kick your ass. You end up either going to jail or going broke if you try to step out there and build your own Black Wall Street, or pull up other brothers to do. You can't do that. You got to align with them. They make all the money and kick you back. So I just wanted to say that part, as far as, there's a reason why those situations where it's all black. It's not just because we think their ice is colder, but they need us as consumers. And so it's a system that comes after. Imagine the Morocco and the Tigers. Imagine if they step out there doing whatever they're doing with young black boys. Oh, something's going to happen to make it very difficult for you to teach the young people and grow it up. That's how the system's set up.
Yeah. Tiger, I know you're a historian, but I'm getting ready to take you deep into the state of Maryland archives. There was a black man named Tom Smith. He ran the Lucky Numbers. He owned a hotel called the Smith Hotel, I think somewhere downtown Baltimore. And he was the largest contributor to the Democratic Party, which at that time was more like the Republicans. Do you remember Tom Smith?
I remember the name. All the entertainers used to come and stay at his hotel and stuff. That's about all I can remember back about that. But I do know that we've had plenty of wealthy people, in our country. Okay?
Well, I'm going somewhere with this.
Yeah, go ahead with that. Let me let you finish your point first.
For the sake of piggybacking what Mr. Edwards said about the numbers, we had a lady on earlier today talking about generational wealth, wills, and trusts, how we lost the houses that we have. And what I tried to share in the conversation was how we have survived in part because of the underground economy. Can you tell us the history, or a bit of the history of what a Willie Adams meant to Baltimore?
Well, Willie Adams meant everything. And the problem we had was when people became educated, they thought they knew how to get things done. For example, this is how Kurt Smoke ended up being the mayor, when by any stretch of the imagination, Dew Burns was supposed to have been the next mayor. Because, see, that was the natural order progression, and Dew was going to do for the black community what he had seen Jews, Italians, and Irish do for the Irish community. But the powers that be brought in someone that they called a reformer. Well, I don't give a damn about no reform. Whatever they did to get to where they want, that's what I want, And so they knocked Dew off because Dew was only a shower room manager or custodian. But we never looked at the fact that if this custodian, a janitor, could rise to become the mayor of Baltimore City, he got
First
to
black
have
mayor.
something going here. You understand? So what we do, we tend to view somebody else's, look at the world through somebody else's eyes, and make decisions based on somebody else, as opposed to basing their decisions on what our needs are.
Mm-hmm. Based on that foolishness. Based on that foolishness is what it is.
Right.
Now, Morocco, down there in Atlanta, you had a Herman J. Russell. What was his significance, and how much did a Maynard Jackson play in his career, his trajectory?
Herman Russell. Lord.
Herman Russell was a plasterer. Plasterer. He could take that mud and plaster up rooms and whatnot, and so he had a little small business where he was plastering walls and whatnot, and eventually he got a break. I've forgotten exactly who gave him the break, but it had something to do, I think, with apartments. So he went into these apartments and put up the mud and the plaster and everything, and the job was a little more than he could handle by himself. So he brought in a couple of other guys that had those kind of skills, and he started to grow over in the Auburn Avenue area. Now, Auburn Avenue is the area where Martin Luther King's crypt is, symbolic Martin Luther King, symbolic Auburn Avenue. Mm-hmm. Auburn Avenue is where a number of other churches like Wheat Street Baptist Church, Reverend William Home Borders, prolific minister, a number of lawyers, old school lawyers back in that day. And then across town on Hunter Street, which is Martin Luther King now, on Hunter Street, you had the Pascal's Restaurant. So eventually, Russell started to expand, and someone in the construction business realized his potential and his expertise and gave him a larger contract. And he began growing that business. And then it stepped over into bricks and masonry and that kind of thing. And so then Pascal's over on Martin Luther King, Hunter Street, Pascal's and his wife used to cook chicken sandwiches at home on Fridays. And they would come up on Hunter Street, and there was a little store there, a little storefront place that had a window. And they would sell out of the window chicken sandwiches. And their business grew selling their chicken sandwiches on the weekend like that, to the point that they went across the streets and built Pascal's Restaurant. Once Pascal's Restaurant was built, then Pascal's and Russell became, and Pascal's built the Motor Hotel adjacent to their restaurant. And so Russell had that contract. And so right now, the new Pascal's is about 2 blocks from the new $1 billion football stadium. So the new Pascal's restaurant sits there, and right across the streets is this giant business there that is the Herman Russell business. And so that's who Herman Russell is, a plasterer that had skills that were needed. And he expanded those skills and abilities and became a multimillionaire and built a multimillion-dollar
Yes,
business.
he did. Yeah.
Now, Mr. Edwards, we're not going to leave you out. Who was Philip Payton to Harlem, New York?
Well, I'm going to have to go someplace else with who was better for New York. Okay? I know you read the history on him, but you have to look at Adam Clayton Powell.
No question.
Okay? And you have to look at Bumpy Johnson. Mm-hmm. Okay? People don't realize this, the snow pellets that you see that we use for the ice and all the snow melt. Bumpy developed that while he was incarcerated. Okay.
Wow.
and he was running that, and he was the only black at that time that had a contract with Columbia University to get their maintenance supplies. He told them what they better do. Okay, and they gave it to him. But at the same time, we had Adam Clayton Powell, who was the politician that had sense enough to go and get the best black minds in New York and pull them to him and told them that he could not pay them. But if they would come up with a project and they would write it up and everything and schedule it all out to the details, he would take it to Congress and have it funded, and that would be their project. That's how they would get paid. So all these things you see in education and banking and all these laws that he passed that are still in effect today is there. Now, I will say this to you because I witnessed this myself. We all was having problems, and I was a young boy then, but we was having problems. The police was shutting down our gambling joints, our after-hour joints, the clubs and all. They were shutting them down. And Adam came to town 2 o'clock in the morning to meet with us. And it was telling him, listen, man, you got to do something for us. The police is shutting us down and all. He said, listen, the problem with y'all is that you're disrespecting your neighbors. Say everywhere that you have a facility, it's in a residential building. And you're coming in with your crew, getting high with the ladies partying and everything all night, all day. And working people is trying to get their children off to school and everything. And y'all are making so much noise and everything till they can't relax. So nobody's looking out for you. If you respect them, then I'll do something for you. So we all agreed that we would get that noise down and everything and respect the neighbors. And the next thing he said that it frightened me because I didn't know where he was coming from. He said, there's one other thing you have to do for me. I said, oh, here it comes now. We got to go in our pockets. He says, listen, all of my constituents have to be taken care of. He says, the winos are my constituents. If you don't take care of them and give them their wine, they're going to be out there creating noise and problems. So y'all have to take care of the winos. I have never seen another politician that thought to the basics of their constituency as that man did. Okay, down to the winos. And so that's why, Donnie, I'm sorry. I had to tell that story because I think that that's more relevant than somebody that might have got lucky, might have been backed by a Jew or something and made it to the top. I know what happened with these two people. Okay? So I can speak on that.
So Mark Clark, you didn't heard about Bumpy Johnson, you didn't heard about Adam Clayton Powell, you didn't heard about Herman Russell and Maynard Jackson and Clarence Duburns. Bring it all together for me.
Well, I mean, I know Tiger. I would prefer to hear Tiger break it down.
Okay, let's go to hear Tiger. He's
let me break it down to you where it really is. Now, all you have to do is look at Marion Barry and how they wanted to get him out of there because Marion Barry, everybody all black folks became over the county, right? Because they set up what he called a 10-point preference system, whereby you got automatically get certain points on that 10-point system if you had a minority. So everybody had to be real about getting minorities. We tried to do the same thing here in Maryland with reference to the lottery. Okay, but black folk, and look, and we was working with Rob. I got it all documented now. Okay,
I know you do.
Bobby Ehrlich, his whole administration as governor depended upon whether he could get lottery passed. Okay, not the lottery, but the gambling at the slots emporiums, right?
Mm-hmm.
And everybody knew it was coming. So this was his whole administration. He was prepared to give us anything. One of the things we wanted was to change our MBE system to be like the one in DC. The other thing was we wanted full ownership of one slots emporium with partial ownership of all the rest. All of these things we wanted. But what happened is black politicians chose to stay on the plantation and wait with the as the Democratic masses had ordered, to wait for a Democrat to be elected so they could then pass slots. And then what did we get? Look, one of the things we had on the table was this. We could vote for the slots. This is those of us who understood the game, for 2.5%, from 1.5% to 2.5% of the total gross. Now you're talking about $4 billion, right? That money would have come off the top to go into an economic development fund for minority. We had to say minority because we had to give up a little bit. Minority and small businesses, right? That was our reparations right there. We didn't have sense enough to see it, and all we had to do was to work with Bobby Ehrlich, get all that we could from him, because I ain't gonna get into an argument over which white boy gonna be my master. Whichever one give me what I need for my people is the one I'm gonna deal with. Now that's one thing. The other thing is when you begin to talk about the public school system, we lose control of that. Whomever sells the public school system toilet paper becomes a billionaire. Whomever sells the contracts for insurance, whether it be health or whether it be life insurance, to the public school system, becomes a billionaire, and he builds his business and can engage in subcontract to other businesses, right? The same thing with who handles the computer, the technology for the public schools, who handles the janitorial contracts for the public schools. See, we have not come to understand what politics was all about. We think it's about, well, I like them, or what kind of dress did they have on? Did you see what she looked like? Get out of here. Politics is about who gets what, when, where, and how. And I don't care what school you go to, that's the way they're going to describe politics, okay? So the thing is, we need to do some introspective analysis and deal with ourselves and stop talking about what the white man do, because we're the ones killing ourselves. If we lose this election, it's because black people did not stand up for Kamala Harris.
Right.
That's the only way we lose this election, because the white folks engaged to eat Donald Trump come out doing stupid shit every goddamn day to get the election, and we too damn dumb to take advantage of it. And we got black folks out here trying to justify why they gonna vote for this racist, fascist, bastard, felon, whatever we want to call
all
it,
of the above,
scum of the earth, you know. But anyway, politics is about who gets what, when, where, and how. We have failed our people politically. I've got it documented, because the 24 years I was in the state legislature, I documented everything, and I maintained the record. This is why my place is so junky right now. You know, but some of the stuff you don't want to put out there, because some of the people that would be indicted on this are people that our community view as legends.
Well, I think
and I chose not to put it out there just yet. You know,
I think
I hesitated writing that book, man.
I think as we, you know, like whatever, however it goes, Donnie, I think one of the things that maybe has to happen, and maybe it starts with, there's very few places like that you offer, you know, black media, but I think like Tiger was saying, and I remember when Ehrlich was in office being on the radio, and the thing that was interesting was, you know, as I'm a Democrat, I'm a liberal, I'm this and that. And so the thing that was crazy was the Ehrlich and Steele, that moment in time, you know, they paid us to host everything. They paid, right? We had, you know, town hall meetings. And so the young Black business people were kind of excited because, you know, what they were promising was enforcing, I guess, the you know, what was on the books already. And that's what they were promising, right?
Yeah.
And so, but what we realized was when it came down to voting, when you talk about young people, they're inconsistent. So the old Blacks were the ones who going to vote. So all that hype got built up. But at the end of the day, the, you know, grandmas and grandpas were the ones who really voted. So, but I think there needs to be a place where, like you just broke it down, Tiger, because it's almost, there's disconnections. Like if you don't have, if you're not participating, or if you're not even aware on how a contract works, or if you don't own a business, then it's all rhetoric. It doesn't really make sense. And I think that's one of our big problems too. Like you were just saying, you had something set up, but who knew that you can't really talk about having something set up because you can't tell everybody. So how do we manage that? Because I think that's the part that I thought was going on with these influencers. Like, I'm like, okay, what's going on? Because why would you be supporting Trump? There's got to be a check tied to this, and who's getting that check? But it's kind of like it's not revealed. So you just kind of left with, you know, and so I think that's a part of it. How do we get to be a monolith where we can make decisions and as a block to influence whatever party we're with? You know, how do we get there?
So, Mark, I got to push back. Let me just push back on this. When the Caucasian is committing violence against Black people, we are very much a monolith. They don't ask where you live at, what your zip code is, what your party is. When they pull you over, every Black person feels the same thing. When they see that whoop, 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 every Black person. So I push back on that monolith thing, and I don't buy it. Come on, Tiger.
All right, look. Go ahead, Mark.
Well, I think, like you said, no, that's right. That's the thing that kind of keeps us in place is that if, you know, from the white supremacy, all those memories of the 60s to now being Black, I don't care how much money you make, if Trump's in office, you sitting outside, you're gonna get stopped or arrested. Like that's a constant. But the part that's not, though, is getting to that financial bag, like, you know, like Tiger was saying. So you got something set up over here, or like you said, when you talked about you know, the leadership that had success were people who were grassroots people, like the Marion Barrys of the world. Everybody who was in DC during that time was in the summer jobs program, and you know, from my wife to everybody else in that generation. So his influence was, you know, generational. All those millionaires that he made, and so I guess a lot of the connection piece, I guess, is maybe where it starts, but like the messenger and the message, it's like I don't know how we get it together. I don't know. And I'm in media, but I, you know, nowadays especially, like you mentioned, you know, radio. Look at Radio 1. When we were talking earlier, sadly, the powers that Radio 1 had no desire to create those young connections to the community and have them lead. Instead, they hired white consultants to tell them how to program the Black folks. What we talked about earlier, it's like, you know, that's I guess that's everywhere, you know. And so I don't know. I don't have the answers. I'm just trying to figure it out.
Well, you know, one of the things, you know, we have to do, like I'm saying, we got a little introspective analysis. We got to see truth. We got to seek truth. Let's go back to Bobby Ehrlich. He's a good example. I've told you what we were working with him on with regard to the stats thing, and that was the biggest thing going, okay? But look, Bobby Ehrlich built Coppin State University, man.
Yeah.
It was a little dump. Bobby Ehrlich put money into that, expanded that university, gave the modern equipment, everything. And that's shown off an urban ghetto school. But he built it up, and he put money into Carver. And
Okay,
then
okay, but
he
Tiger,
started putting money into rebuilding the whole community around Coppin.
Tiger,
Okay?
how did we get a Bob Ehrlich? What happened?
Wait a minute, let me finish this now, because you need to hear the whole story on this. If you look at the MBE, the amount of money, dollars and cents that went into black businesses under Ehrlich, because see, their view of the world is not how many businesses that they give access to, but how much will each business get. Whereas the Democrats, they throw you to the crumbs, and Ehrlich was saying, hey, boom. Because the Ehrlich's view of the world was that we could not fund our way out of some of these problems we had. You had to build a black economy. That was Ehrlich's view.
Okay, how did we get an Ehrlich? And I want you to get to what I think, man, you know better than me, the unprecedented collaboration between Baltimore and Prince George's County, with Michael Steele being a drawing factor, right or wrong?
That's a real factor there.
It's a real factor.
Yeah,
Michael Steele knew how to navigate it.
And when I say Baltimore, Baltimore City, Northwest Baltimore County, Prince George's County. Moonian, you got to cut your camera on. Look like you out there hanging with ghosts. But for the first time that I know of, that trio, Prince George's, Baltimore City, Northwest Baltimore County, the way they went, the way they voted, everybody else had to go. And Michael Steele tapped into Baltimore City, and there was a collaboration. And if I'm not mistaken, Baltimore City helped get Prince George's County going politically, beginning, if I'm not mistaken, with Tommy Broadwater. But we've been joined by the one, the only, my Virgo sister, all the way, well, she's actually from the New York, New Jersey area up there with you, Mr. Walter, but she's the first black councilwoman. Oh, she done gone now. Mooneen Jackson Amos. But that collaboration.
No, I'm back. I'm back here. It's just that I was stretched. To be honest with you, I was taking a nap.
Hey,
all right, I'm coming out there.
Well, I want you to know, taking that nap works because
yes.
You are exquisitely beautiful, my sister. All right.
Okay.
Now
you were the first black councilwoman in Talbot County.
Yes, there was. The first black female. There was a man before me.
You talking about Talbot County, Maryland?
Yes.
Okay.
She had me down there for my book signing when I came out with my first book. Now, you know, I don't play down the Eastern Shore, so I had to get up out of there before sundown, but they treated me real good down there. Okay, Mooneen, what's the deal, Mooneen?
Oh, and now, well, listen, I just got on. Let me regroup. Let me get myself together. Well, give me where we are in the conversation.
Well, I think we finished. We just carry on.
Okay.
Look, let me tell you a few other things too. We elect black representatives, and then they represent everybody but us.
Yeah.
That is where our problem is. Okay,
that's true.
Look, and I'm telling you from the inside, 24 years of dealing with our folks inside. And of course, they didn't like me because I come out the black liberation struggle. In fact, when I won the election, that was the same time Kurt Smoke won the state's attorney. And I ain't going to call no names, but one of our great political bosses said, well, damn, we did all right, but how did that damn tiger get through? The reason I got through is because of personal contact. Number one, I was captain of the football team. Number two, I should have been valedictorian, but I was only president of my high school class. And number three, you know, my family voted in the most populous area in East Baltimore at School 85, you know. And the other thing was, I was a young boy that worked in a drugstore and left when I
Can't
graduated
hear.
high school at 17 and went into the military. And when I came home, I was still saying yes, sir, and no, ma'am, to all of the people in my neighborhood who was older than I, because I respected my elders. That's why I won. You know, it was all about personal contacts. And I don't care how much money they poured into East Baltimore, they could never dislodge me. They even paid my own teammates to cut me on election day, but I still won. And I could go over there and win again, because it's all about personal relationship and taking personal responsibility for the people that you're supposed to represent. I
Yeah.
put office, well, it ain't there no more, but it's in 2100 block of East North Avenue, right in the heart of the most violent area of East Baltimore. And I was out among the people. I had them build a garden. And, you know, and we got people working together. And we began to focus on our children. But then, you know, we could never get the resources from city government or the state government to deal with some of the other problems of our community. But
Exactly. Here's a piece of Black history from East Baltimore. One of the oldest, if not the oldest, Black family business, Locke's Funeral Home, going back to 1835.
Yes, indeed. And Kurt
Started off
Smoke up married into the family.
Yeah, started off as a livery service. Marsha Jews, welcome this lady to the show. Give her a rundown on what we've been discussing before you fall asleep. Don't be falling asleep on this show. It's election night.
Yeah, Miss Jackson, we've just been trying to keep up with the numbers that are rocking and rolling and who's where we are supposed to be and how we gonna get the folks that we want to win in position. And the polls are closed now, so we just need to start praying and make certain that the right folks are in the right place. But we also want to talk about what does that look like. We're looking at now, you got 137 electoral votes for Trump and 99 electoral votes for Kamala. So we've got to really think about what all this, you know, at midnight, what happens when we wake up in the morning? Are those numbers going to be good? And how do we do that? Because the polls are closed. So all we can do is pray on this, for real.
No, you said also get dual citizenship in Africa.
The what?
Marsha Jews also said you might want to get dual citizenship somewhere in Africa.
I just finished talking to one of my friends from Ghana, and I said that is exactly what I plan to do. This is crazy. Well, you know, the thing is, if Kamala does pull this out, what I'm more concerned about is our having a strategy to make her do things that are beneficial to us. We're the only group of people who don't seem to have a plan for anybody that that is supposedly representing us. And I agree with what has been said about our people get into office and they forget the responsibility to those of us who put them there. But I didn't. That's why I was worn out. You know, when you're fighting for yourself and for your people, for your cause, you know, you need to have reasonable support. And I mean, just to keep you energized, keep you hydrated, keep you mentally sound. And we don't protect ourselves like that. That's the kind of thing that is disturbing to me. So Kamala is lucky if she wins. And I say lucky because there's so many reasons and so many of us who were very concerned about her initial position the first time she ran, that she wasn't going to do anything special for Black people. That came out of her mouth. And I think that, you know, that she may be positioned a little differently now. She ran a great campaign, no matter what anybody says. but I'm more concerned about a strategy to make sure that we get something and something permanent. Reparations was never discussed during this whole campaign that I heard, and I think that's important.
Okay, we're going to go down to Prince George's County. Richard Elliott, are you with us? Richard Elliott, you're live. Richard Elliott, you got to unmute your mic.
Hey, Donnie. Sorry, I'm doing two StreamYards at the same time. Good afternoon, lovely people. Thank you for checking in. I am live.
It's evening time, man.
Okay, I'll turn my camera on so you feel happy. So I'm at the hotel in College Park for the Alsobrooks campaign for the Maryland Democratic Party. The first note that I want to say is the early results, I would say, look very good across the country. In Pennsylvania, Kamala Harris is outrunning Joe Biden, who we must note was from Pennsylvania. Kamala is outrunning Joe Biden in Georgia. Kamala was doing pretty well in Florida and even, I think, outperformed Biden there. The early results, particularly because of vote by mail and early vote, might say what I want to say at the end of the night. Black voters may have saved this country from fascism for a second election in a row. I believe that's what happened, and I'm going to stick to it until I get more numbers. Donnie, I'm not leaving. I'm just going on mute so I can do my job and not get fired.
But by the way, Florida was called for Donald Trump.
Yeah, I just said she overperformed there relative to Biden.
Oh, I see. Okay. Mm-hmm.
He's got 52.6%, and Kamala is 46.2%. And Trump with 177 electoral votes, and Kamala with 99 electoral votes.
Mark, how do you feel? Mark, you've been out on the streets. You've been talking to people, business owners in particular, Montgomery County, Prince George's County, DC, Baltimore. What are you thinking, Mark?
I'm scared. That pit in the stomach kind of feeling. It's kind of like, as has been mentioned throughout the night. I think the popular vote, I think she'll definitely win. But again, electoral college, man, it was set up to do exactly what it does, right? And it's and I think Tiger mentioned it earlier, or it might have been someone else mentioned this thing with women. I think women. And I think women and men, white and black, there's a thing there that I think raised by a single black woman and surrounded by, I got 3 daughters, I never even have a second thought about women in leadership, but I think a lot of men do. And sadly, I think, you throw race in there, you throw the sexism in there. I think a lot of people in private may not have voted for a woman president.
Yeah,
so I'm very concerned, and I think it also is interesting, how we wasted so much time, in our black conversations about is she black enough, is she this, is she that. I think
Tiger, you had the best answer for that. Tiger, you said you would vote for a dyslexic sloth. You'd vote for a dead dog before you vote for. Tell him what you said, Tiger. You're muted. You're muted. Unmute yourself. You're muted. I can't hear you.
No, his mic
You're
is not
muted,
on.
Tiger.
Tiger, you got to hit the thing for the microphone because it's off.
Tiger having some peanuts.
Yeah, I was. This is a long time. I'm a diabetic. I got to put a little something in me, right?
All right.
Look,
We just want to make sure.
This says something terrible about America, that this convicted felon could even run for office.
Right.
He evaded military service when all of our community went. He then turned around and called us suckers. And then he labeled us as losers. Then he desecrates our most hallowed ground at Arlington National Cemetery. He then denigrates John McCain, one of our most revered veterans. He sucks up to Putin and that little fat boy from North Korea in favor of our normal allies. He is a traitor,
Yeah.
and how he could even be a contention to be president is beyond me. But really, it ain't. We need to sit down and talk about that and understand what that means for us. Okay, because if this the way white folks gonna be, and dumb N words, how could any black person? I mean, Trump should not be able to get not one black vote, given the record. Look at what he did to the Central Park Five.
Yeah.
Look at the racist rhetoric that keeps coming out of his mouth. How could any black person? I guess they bought and sold.
Yeah, they are.
They
They're still walking around.
And so, you know, but given all of that, I still believe she's going to win. I had hopes that she would run away with it because I know our black veterans for Kamala Harris across this country from Hawaii to Puerto Rico, we was busting our butts for the last 2 months for her. And we laid it out because what we told people, first, when we went out to talk to people, the first thing they said, Rock, and you'll remember this. Well, what are our talking points? What do you mean, what are our talking points? This is a goddamn traitor. What do you need talking points for to talk about this traitor? This convicted felon. What other talking points do you need? Is this who you want to run your country? Come on, he represents us all. Do you want your children looking up to this guy? Come on now. Is that what America's really about? Now, you've got some serious thinking to do. I don't care who wins. We've got some serious thinking to do about our relationship with America and where we want to take our community. Because there ain't nowhere in the world, nobody should even think of this boy, this clown. And on top of that, he's insane.
Yeah.
Certifiable. Certifiable.
He makes Hitler look like kindergarten stuff. But anyway, hey,
all right.
If Kamala loses, it's because black people failed her.
Wow.
And she put herself out there to run. And we should honor that by giving her full support. And look, and I won't call no names, but one of our brothers from down in North Carolina, Rock, he retired military, right? Vietnam vet, right? First thing he said to me, well, I can't understand her position on transgender or abortion and all. Come on, man, get out of here. This is about black survival here. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Come on, man. I mean, look, he's gonna be intelligent, right? Like he understands all the issues, the macro and micro economics and all that. Come on, man, get out of here.
Mark, you're a media expert. What did you think when you saw the Trump commercial with Charlemagne in it?
When basically the one that Charlemagne got taken down.
Is that what happened to it?
Yeah,
he had one about Kamala.
Yeah, he did a cease and desist. A cease and desist from the show because it was taken out of context. And again, that's what they do. I mean, first of all, let me just say I'm glad to be with y'all tonight because I feel normal because everything you just said. I mean, you get in, you start listening to people, you think you're a crazy person. So I'm glad I'm with y'all tonight. Thank you, Jesus, because it wasn't me. You talking to people, and it's crazy. It's crazy. I don't, especially like you said, Tiger. I don't understand. I didn't get the black people thing. I didn't get it. The people that I respect, and then I still don't understand the Cornel West thing. What's again, Marsha? You said they got paychecks, so I guess that's the only thing that makes sense. Yeah, but yeah. So with Charlemagne, I think Tiger said it earlier. Donald Trump his feet were never held to the fire for his behavior, his unpresidential behavior, his racist behavior, his lack of character. they gave him a pass in that. Can you imagine if Obama did anything, how
Oh,
they would just every hour, every hour, but they let it go. They let it
Look what
go.
they did to Obama's minister. Remember that one?
Exactly.
Mhm.
All those associated. They made you have to step away. But Trump was associated with Klansmen and right wingers and all kind of stuff, organizations, and they basically gave it a pass. I thought it was interesting. I don't know if you guys tapped into Midas Touch Network, which is a streaming platform. They actually became the counter to Fox, and Midas Touch actually is just as Fox is all the way to the right. Midas Touch challenged them all the time. So I think the young people, there was always a thing where conservative talk was always more popular because people love hate, right? Midas Touch was hitting them with facts and smartly taking down all the stuff that Trump and Vance were doing. So it's gonna pop up probably as a legitimate counter to Fox after this election. But anyway, I don't know. Like media wise, though, Donnie, I think again, this has been. I think Trump did get a pass because it's like every week they were saying crazy things, including the crowd sizes dwindling, his behavior the last few weeks has been mentally unstable. He really has turned to look like an old man, but they have kind of like shielded him from that.
Okay, so we got an update from Auntie Alice Toriente. Welcome back to the show. What's been your analysis thus far, Auntie Alice?
Okay, well,
by the way, your girl Moon Yeen is on the line.
Hey, Alice.
so far, our girl Camilla won Maryland, but she only has a little over 30 electoral votes. Trump has over 160. And so, but the big ones, like Pennsylvania, Georgia, Wisconsin, what's some of the other big states?
North Carolina.
Well, I think he won North Carolina. I'm looking now. But
Okay.
he won South Carolina already. I'm looking to see if he won South Carolina. I'm trying to see. He won. Okay, he won Kentucky. He won in Indiana, West Virginia, Florida, Tennessee, Missouri, Alabama, Oklahoma, South Carolina,
Oh, God.
Utah, Texas, North Dakota, South Carolina, Wyoming. There's a couple more. I can't read my writing here. Louisiana, and I think Mississippi. So far, she has one that I don't have her, but so far she's won Vermont, Massachusetts, Maryland, D.C., Delaware, and I think there's one more. But so she's got only a little over 30, but the big ones haven't come in yet. So we'll wait to see what the deal is. So just holding on. That's what the story is, and it's believe that Alzabrook won Maryland, but that has not been officially announced. But they sort of announced it wasn't officially.
Okay.
And Maryland has 10 electoral votes, so that's where we are.
Marsha, where are you pulling these numbers from?
I have on my phone. It is the election stats, and I got them on the line, and it's 2024 U.S. election. I don't know if you can see. Wait, over here, it's got the numbers.
Okay, Auntie Alice, thank you for now.
You're welcome. All right.
And then the Associated Press has the 99 for Harris and 178 for Trump.
Yeah.
So this is all online, and it's the 2024 U.S. elections results. So if you go there, you'll see it there. I don't know if you can see that. Okay. Well, I'm going to go and get myself comfortable to see what happens at the end of this. Thank you so much for having me involved. We're going to just pray, and I'm happy to see that also Brooke has pulled strongly ahead. So we're
Oh
going to
yeah.
keep it all in prayer. But
Well,
thank
let's go around the horn and get some final thoughts, and maybe we'll plug in later. Thank you very much all for joining. Let's start with you, Godfather up in Harlem. And again, you walk down 125th Street with Mr. Walter Edwards. I tell you feel like you're walking with.
Well, hey, listen, we're not walking any place now, but
right.
you know, I'm honored to be with everyone this evening. But I think that we have to stop having these open broadcasts and so forth and so when we are planning things. Okay, the Jews have all kinds of meetings in the synagogue, and no one but the Jews know what the hell is going on with them. Okay, and we have to start doing that kind of meeting and planning. So you know, I look forward to. If we want to do something like that, I would definitely participate. But I'm not into this public event as much. We can do general conversation, but some of the things that we get into is very deep, and we shouldn't be letting other folks know what we are thinking about. You know, so I would use the Jew plan. They keep theirs inside, and if one of them cross them, the whole family get isolated. They don't even speak to them. They walk right by them and everything, and it keeps them in line. And we have to come up and start doing some things like that because our people just do what the hell they want to do to us and laugh at us. And so, you know, I would look forward to those kind of meetings for these last few years that I got. I know I'm 86, soon to be 87. I don't have too much longer. So if I'm going to do something, let's do it seriously. Thank you.
Before we go too far, Robert Scott has just joined us. This is the son of Pat Scott, a Goon Squad member, Tiger. You know the Goon Squad?
Oh, absolutely.
Well, this is the son of the Goon Squad, Robert Scott, my Morehouse brother down in Atlanta. What's going on, Robbie? What's the word down there in Georgia?
How you doing? I've got the television off. I can't watch right now.
I know.
So, as far as that's concerned, but Atlanta's doing pretty well. You know, we're hanging in there.
What are your thoughts of these black men out here stumping for Trump?
Misguided. They're confused. I get where some of them are coming from. I think what they're caught up in is conspiracy theory, not understanding their history, not knowing the impact of the position of an attorney general, what they do, what they represent, not understanding the fact that she was an attorney general for the fifth largest economy in the world. You know, the conspiracy that I think they're all going off on is that she supposedly put so many black men in jail. And that's not true at all. They actually got the opposite going. That didn't actually happen. What really happened was the maximum minimums that was voted on by Congress. And I can say every black congressman and senator that was in office voted in support of it because they thought it would be a deterrent if you put that much jail time on a small amount of drugs. But she didn't personally do that. And if you listen to the other side, listen to Trump, and listen to how they talk about how weak she was on crime and how they have commercials about how she made sure that Latino and blacks didn't get prosecuted like whites were not getting prosecuted. That was what actually happened. These young black guys we just come off of a conspiracy theory 10 years. You know, the knee-jerk reaction to a black president, which gave us Trump, which also gave us a whole lot of other crazy stuff, and throw in some COVID. We've had a dose of conspiracy theories that have our young black men really not seeing what's going on. They're just off on a tangent. But hopefully she wins, and the ones I've talked to, they at least know their history now, and they at least know that they made a mistake. If they didn't vote at all, they made a mistake. And if they did, and if they voted for Trump, they made a mistake because they weren't voting for their own interests.
Let's try to get one more report. Richard, can you give us one more update before we shut it down? Whoa, Richard. Hey, Richard. Can we get one update before you go? Richard's down there in the Kamala camp. I mean, Angela Osborne. Hey, Richard. Okay, Tiger.
Yes, sir.
Come on, give us a rundown before we get out of here.
Well, first of all, I wouldn't be too concerned at this point because the key states that we're looking for have not come in, and we expected her to be behind at this particular point. But when you look at them big states like California, New York, New Jersey, what have you, all those votes haven't come in yet. And she still is going to win. And, and I firmly believe that.
I believe it too.
I believe it too.
Okay.
I believe it and receive it and call it forth.
Mm-hmm. And the folks out on the Eastern Shore are organized and working hard, my dear Sister Jackson.
Yes.
They're working hard for also Brooks.
Yes, we did.
Jackson.
Yes, we did.
Reverend Ames down there. Look, Reverend Ames is busting his butt, and so I'm very proud of all of them. Okay, hey, Richard is on now. Richard.
Okay, come on, Rich, give us that update.
Hey, update. I'm gonna be the first media person to call the race for Angela Alsobrooks. She right now is at 54% with about 54% of the vote in. Unless Hogan has a whole lot of closet Republicans that came out of the woods, Angela Alsobrooks is about to win a rather resounding victory and represent us in the United States Senate. I'm almost certainly the first media person to report that. I'm going to stand on it. And if I'm wrong, Donnie, you can call me an idiot later on. In Nebraska, the independent candidate for Senate, Dan Osborne, is currently leading the Republican by a fair margin, which would reduce the Republican margins in the United States Senate. In Ohio, Bernie Moreno was beating Sherrod Brown at the last moment. I looked at reports. Let me see what else I can see.
How much is Sherrod Brown?
Wait, hold on. I'm trying to use 3 computers right now. Election.
You can read Richard in the Washington Informer, and when he's available, he shares stories also with BeMoreNews.com. Special thank you to all our advertisers. Thank you to Michael Haney. Mr. Edwards, thank you for getting this network started back in 2020. Planting the seed. Come on, Richard. Bring it on.
Right now, Bernie Moreno is leading Sherrod Brown by about 125,000 votes-ish, something along those lines. With much of the vote, let me try and click in on Columbus and some of the bluer areas, but that's with 61% of the vote called in Ohio. Florida has already been called. In Michigan, Alyssa Slotkin, the Senate candidate, is up, and Kamala is winning the state. In Pennsylvania, Kamala is up, as is the Senate candidate. In Texas, Ted Cruz is currently winning, but not by a wide margin. And Tammy Baldwin has pulled ahead of Eric Hovda in Wisconsin. However, the numbers are still rolling in. Please keep in mind, everybody, the numbers that we're seeing are largely the election day votes, which skew conservative. We are waiting for the early votes. We are waiting for the mail-in votes. We are waiting for the provisional votes. Do not worry just yet. I think that the numbers still look very good for our soon-to-be president.
Richard, I have one major question for you.
Hit me.
Wes Moore. We haven't discussed him in some 2 hours of broadcasting. What is a Wes Moore thinking right now?
Wes Moore has 2 options. Number one is, assuming Harris wins, leaving to join the cabinet, not to abandon us, but out of the pursuit of having a better resume when seeking higher office. If as Westmore is the governor now, there are going to be budget cuts and tax increases over the next several years in Maryland because we just do not have money. If you look at what really ended Martin O'Malley's career, not only the legacy of police brutality and over incarceration in Baltimore, but also his record on raising taxes, cutting the budget as a result of the 2007 financial crash. If Westmore wants to run for president to the degree I believe he wants to run for president, he would leave to go join the cabinet, which would in theory make Aruna Miller the governor, leaving a vacant lieutenant governor position and giving us a very wide open 2028 primary. There's hooping and hollering at Also Brooks HQ. I think they're reading the numbers and they're liking the numbers as much as me.
Thank you, Richard.
I'm still here. I'm going back to mute.
All right, young brother. Boy, it's wonderful to see young brothers like him, huh? Hey,
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
There is hope for the future.
Yes.
Hey, look. Hey, Walter, you and I, we're the 80 plus over here, right? And by the way, Walter, my wife is a Harlem Hospital baby, man.
Oh, yes, we blessed.
Yeah, her dad was living at 151 118th Street, right? That's where I snatched her from.
Okay,
right?
know it well. You blessed it. You got a good one.
Hey, that's why I'm still alive. That's why I'm still, and that's one of the things I had to learn.
Enjoy every moment, my brother.
To look up to your lady as opposed to trying to tell her what to do, right? That's why I'm alive.
Oh yeah, well Harlem Hospital was doing some wonderful things for us back then.
Oh yeah, they was the first to be out there on that sickle cell disease thing, man.
Yeah.
The doctor's name, female doctor up there, rheumatologist. They were just great. But I'm just grateful for her because March will be my 5th year of after my cancer surgery, lung cancer surgery, right? And
oh boy,
I never would have gone to the doctor, Rock, if she had not been pushing me. She nagged me all the time. Finally go to the doctor. They catch the lung cancer before it gets to stage 2. Then
you blessed.
Then they had to do my thyroid because I was getting a little taste of cancer there too. But hey, look,
oh boy,
I'm healthy. I go to the VA 3 times a week for geriatric fitness, and I'm in good shape. Hey,
I mean,
and I can
keep on doing it.
All right.
Marsha
keep on
Jews,
doing it, my
tonight's
friend.
show meant to you, Marsha Jews?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
What has tonight's show meant for you?
I think it was really powerful that we would have this conversation and everybody could chime in with their thoughts and ideas. But it said that we have to really contain our family to make certain that we're getting the proper information distributed properly. And I want to thank you, Donnie, for including me and to bring us all together to be able to have these discussions. They're really critical in how we go back into our own communities and how we should be working together in every individual community, because at the end of the day, tonight, those numbers are telling what's going to happen for our future. And it's either Kamala or Donald Trump. And what do we need to be doing? And just having these conversations gives me an idea of what I should be thinking about, what I should be saying to my family, what I should be saying to my community about how we need to be able to move forward. And it's these kinds of these roundtables that we're having with everybody bringing their part of the world to us is important. And so thank you, Donnie, for including us and including me and to host this roundtable.
Moon Jackson, come on in, sister.
Okay. Yes. I always enjoy. I'm sorry. I didn't know I wasn't charged. I always enjoy participating with like-minded brothers and sisters. And as far as also Brooks is concerned, I'm really happy that I was really a participant in her victory. But we had a really good a cross section of people here who really supported her. And the reason that's so interesting is the negative ads that were playing around the clock. We were able to just simply ignore them, and so I was really happy about that growth. And it's the same thing with Kamala, um, her ability to uh, jump right out of the gate and have a very impressive campaign. One that she ran was also very inspirational, you know, for many of us. And you know, I'm just happy to have been invited, Donnie. You know, I always, if you call, I try to answer the call, and you're you have the pulse of things, and so I try to stay involved to that degree. But it's very nice meeting all of you, and you know, hopefully, if we do have some serious discussions, I'll be right there for that. But I'm like, uh, I'm sorry, I don't remember your name. The brother who says he's 80 something, and that we should be more clandestine in our conversations. I'm right there with him. But anyway, hopefully tomorrow we will celebrate.
Morocco, what's the word in Atlanta? Hot Atlanta.
All right, the word is still
Too close.
Kamala Harris is going to be my president tomorrow, and I base that on Hebrews 11:1. I walk by faith and not by sight.
All
So
right.
it's a done deal. So a black woman is getting ready to rule the world.
I
Our
receive all
ancestors
that.
are happy.
And good seeing you, Marsha, after such a long time.
I know it's great seeing you too.
Yeah.
Robbie
It's great
Scott,
seeing everybody for real.
Yeah.
son of the Goon Squad, you got the final word.
Oh, I don't have much to say, man. I'm just happy to be on and happy to see Marsh and happy to see everybody here. And this is like a great time for us. I mean, this is a special time for us to see the female version of Barack Obama. That's what some people call her. The female version of Barack Obama. Go out there and get it done. I really think she's going to be good for the country. She's going to be really good for women. And that's the most important thing because Black women have not been prioritized properly. They've always waited. They've always set back. Now is the time for Black women to be prioritized, and this sister's going to take us to the top. First thing she's got to do though is get them together on that Roe versus Wade thing. We have daughters, we have wives, we have cousins and aunts, and it's just a shame that they snuck in and got that done. That's a shame, but I'm so happy to see that happen for Kamala. I just don't even know what to do. And I think she picked the perfect guy to run with
Yeah.
because he crosses some T's that a Black person can't cross. And what he did as a coach, because Donnie knows I coach kids. For that one kid that had the club that dealt with LGBTQ people, for him to step up and do that, that needed to be done. For all of this to happen, for all the people to come together and I guess make 2044 actually happen. And I said 2044, that's that prediction that white folks had that would be the year that the sum total of non-whites would outnumber the total of whites and white Republicans would lose their majority. Well, that happened when Barack Obama won, but they thought it was going to happen in 2044.
Okay.
Well, I'll tell you, today I saw lines out the door at midday. When Barack Obama got elected, I saw lines out the door 7 a.m. But I saw him out the door at midday, and I am encouraged too. Marsha Jews, Moon Ying Jackson, Tiger Davis, Walter Edwards, Morocco Coleman, Robbie Scott. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and we pray the best.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Good night.
God bless you all.
Amen.
Take care, Donnie.
Good night.
Thanks for the invite,
Thanks for
Donnie.
including me. Mhm.
Always.
Good night, everyone.